I made a decision recently, and it's about something big, the fancy car you bought. I've decided to give it to my parents. You might be wondering why. Well, it's because Mom and Dad are over the moon about it. But hold on, did you even buy that car with the thought of giving it to your folks? Yeah, that's exactly what happened. No matter what you say now, the deal is done. And if you go against me on this, I'll drop the D word, divorce. Those words hit me hard. Suddenly, something inside me just crumbled. But who's even talking about divorce here? Fine, I'm okay with that, I said. Let me introduce myself. I'm Emily, a 35-year-old office worker. I live with my husband Jack and our 5-year-old daughter Sarah. Jack and I both have jobs, so money isn't a problem for us. Sarah's growing up nicely, and that makes me happy in my own way. But that doesn't mean I don't have gripes, especially about Jack. You see, Jack's the type who's more concerned about his parents than his own family. Sure, it's good to care for your folks, but sometimes he puts them before us, especially Sarah. That doesn't sit well with me. I remember when Sarah was about to be born. I called Jack at work, telling him I was having contractions and needed him at the hospital. But his response? Sorry, Mom burned her finger. Gotta go. Can you believe it? His mom got a tiny burn from touching a hot pen, and he rushed to her aid instead of mine. Then there's the time when Sarah turned 1. Jack's parents were going on a trip, and they wanted him to drive them. So instead of celebrating our daughter's big day together, he drove them to the airport and stayed at a hotel with them. I mean, seriously? Prioritizing his parents' trip over his own daughter's birthday? That shook my trust in him. These kinds of incidents kept happening, but I couldn't bring myself to divorce him. I still loved Jack, and I didn't want to deprive Sarah of her father. Plus, it's not like he didn't care about her. I believed he'd eventually put Sarah first. But here we are, 5 years later, and he's never celebrated Sarah's birthday with us. He thinks it should just be the two of them. I've tried my best not to let Sarah feel lonely. Once, I even thought of inviting my in-laws over to celebrate her birthday together. But they turned down the idea, saying it would be too much hassle. Sure, it's a 2-hour drive from their place to ours, but Jack never seems to mind when it comes to visiting them. To hear them call it a hassle to come to us feels incredibly selfish. And don't get me started on my mother-in-law. She's so fixated on having a grandson that she can't even fully love her granddaughter. I was shocked when she once said to me, "I wanted you to have a boy." It's ridiculous. You can't choose the gender of your child, and why does it even matter so much? We're not some high-profile family. It's just my mother-in-law's old-fashioned views speaking. Jack's constant prioritization of his parents, especially his mother, is a source of frustration for me. It's like he can't defy anything she says. Whenever we're at their New Year's family gatherings, she never misses a chance to belittle me. It's as if she takes pleasure in making me feel inadequate. She treats me like a servant, constantly nitpicking at every little thing I do. I've had enough of her snide remarks about my job too. Just because I work in an office doesn't mean my job is any less valuable than hers. But she can't seem to comprehend that. She even ignores Sarah, not bothering to give her New Year's gifts like she does with other relatives' children. And what's worse is that Jack just stands by and lets it all happen. He doesn't stand up for his daughter or me. Instead, he laughs off his mother's comments, trying to play the cool son in front of his relatives. He even had the audacity to say, "My wife isn't good without me." It's like he's blind to how much his family mistreats us. I've tried to be patient for Sarah's sake, but my love for Jack has been dwindling. Then one day, out of the blue, Jack asked me for a favor. He wanted to buy a car. I was taken aback because he's never shown much interest in cars before. When I asked why, he said he wanted a change and that he often drives to his parents' house. It struck me as odd, but I agreed since he'd be the main user anyway. He seemed genuinely happy, yet there was a hint of apology in his expression. Here's the twist. Jack wants a car, but he can't foot the bill himself. So, he suggests that I pay for it. Truth is, my salary supports our family, and I've never counted on Jack's income to cover our expenses. Even during my maternity leave, Jack didn't contribute financially, so I returned to work pretty soon after giving birth. Luckily, as an engineer, I managed to arrange remote work from home to take care of our daughter. It did rub me the wrong way initially that Jack, who often spends his salary on himself, expected me to pay for a new car. But he does pitch in and help with our daughter when he's in a good mood, so I relented. Okay, I said, and Jack was over the moon. He dove into car catalogs and internet research with gusto. Since it's my money on the line, I made sure to keep Jack in check. After all, with just the three of us, we didn't need a mammoth-sized vehicle. But Jack seemed more interested in his own excitement than my suggestions. 2 weeks later, he announced he was going to buy the car and whisked me off to the dealership. At the store, I was in for a shock. The dealer presented us with a luxurious, oversized minivan. Are we really buying this? I couldn't help but ask. Jack, ever enthusiastic, thought it was fantastic. But I couldn't shake off the feeling that it was way too much for our small family of three. Even if we did plan to expand, this car seemed excessive. Despite my protests, Jack was determined to seal the deal. Why do you keep repeating yourself? He snapped, clearly annoyed. Feeling trapped, I watched as he signed the contract, committing us to a hefty loan. I was floored when I heard the price. It was beyond what I could pay up front. Reluctantly, I agreed to finance it through a loan. Jack insisted on signing the contract in his name, so the loan was in his hands. From then on, it was my responsibility to make the payments, depositing money into Jack's account. The car arrived, and Jack couldn't contain his excitement. Seeing him so thrilled, I relented, thinking, if it makes him happy, why not? But then came the unexpected part. One weekend, Jack grabbed the car keys, and when I asked where he was off to, he casually replied, to my mom and dad's. It hit me like a ton of bricks. Was he really leaving our daughter behind again to visit his parents? And to my surprise, he confirmed it with a smile. I've decided to give the luxury car you bought to my parents as a present, I announced firmly. But Jack seemed taken aback. What are you talking about? Mom and Dad are really happy with it. Besides, I always drive you around whenever we go out, he protested. But I stood my ground. Yes, I did buy it with the intention of giving it to my parents, I confessed. Jack's disbelief was palpable. You're kidding, right? You said you wanted it, so I agreed to buy it. If you had told me from the start it was for your parents, I would have never allowed it, he retorted. An ultimatum hung in the air as Jack threatened, if you disobey me, I'll divorce you. The word divorce struck a chord deep within me. I had complied with Jack's wishes for so long, but now the idea of divorce loomed large. However, my maternal instincts kicked in, reminding me of our daughter and the importance of keeping our family together. Yet, Jack's readiness to discard our family for his parents stung. How is that possible? Divorce if I disobey? Who the hell does he think he is? I muttered, feeling a mix of anger and disbelief. Fine, let's have the divorce, I declared, trying to provoke him. As Jack stormed off to file for divorce, I wasted no time. I called my parents, explained the situation, and asked them to pick me and our daughter up. Meanwhile, Jack returned with the divorce papers, filled out hastily in anger. Well, I'll file it, so why don't you just go, he snapped. I didn't need his permission. I swiftly packed our belongings, ready to start anew. Jack's hurtful words echoed in my mind as he stormed out. You are really such a terrible wife, you know that, he lashed out. But I knew I couldn't dwell on his insults any longer. With our bags packed, my parents arrived, and we left Jack behind. I filed the divorce papers, feeling a weight lift off my shoulders. It was just a piece of paper, but it signified a fresh start. As a single mother, I vowed to create a better life for my daughter and myself. A week later, as I visited my parents' house, I saw the luxury car Jack had bought. Walking in with our daughter, I encountered Jack and his parents in the living room. Without a word, my mother took our daughter to another room, leaving me to face my ex-husband and his family alone. Entering the living room, I found Jack in a panic. "Oh, Emily, what's the insurance on that car?" he blurted out. His agitation was palpable, but I remained composed. "What's the matter with you? Why are you barging into our house like this?" I replied icily. My ex-in-laws chimed in, their voices raised in protest. "We don't want you here either. We only came because of circumstances beyond our control," they argued. My father, quietly seething at their audacity, intervened. "If that's the case, could you please leave? You're strangers to us now. We can call the police and have them kick you out," he suggested sternly. My ex-in-laws, realizing they were on thin ice, fell silent. But Jack persisted, pressing me about the insurance payments. I couldn't help but sigh. "Did you forget what you said when you signed the contract? You insisted that the papers be in your name, so you bought the car and took out the loan in your name. You have to pay for the insurance yourself," I explained. My words seemed to deflate Jack and his parents, who had hoped to shift the responsibility onto me. It turned out their excitement over the luxury car had led to a mishap. They had driven too fast and crashed it into a guardrail, damaging the front. When they approached me about insurance, I realized they were liable for the entire repair cost. They returned the car, but not before facing hefty repair charges. Afterward, Jack bombarded me with emails, pleading for reconciliation. But I remained steadfast, ignoring his pleas. I had moved into a new home with our daughter, keeping him in the dark. I was concerned about our daughter missing him, but to my surprise, she adapted well and seemed content. I resolved to focus on building a happy life for our daughter, prioritizing her well-being over Jack's selfish desires. He had dug his own hole, and now he had to face the consequences. I hoped Emily and her daughter would find peace and happiness in their new life. In the wake of the divorce, life settled into a new rhythm for Emily and her daughter. They found solace in their cozy new home, surrounded by familiarity and the promise of a fresh start. With each passing day, Emily poured her energy into creating a nurturing environment for her daughter, ensuring that she felt loved and supported despite the upheaval in their lives. As they adjusted to their new reality, Emily discovered a newfound sense of independence and resilience within herself. No longer tethered to the constraints of a strained marriage, she embraced the freedom to make decisions that were truly in the best interest of her and her daughter. From choosing their own furniture to planning weekend outings, Emily relished the autonomy that came with being the sole decision-maker in their household. Meanwhile, Jack's attempts to reconcile were met with resolute silence from Emily. She remained steadfast in her decision to keep her distance, recognizing that any semblance of a reunion would only serve to reopen old wounds and disrupt the newfound stability she had worked so hard to cultivate. Despite the lingering challenges and uncertainties, Emily remained unwavering in her commitment to providing a loving and supportive environment for her daughter. Together, they navigated the highs and lows of life with resilience and grace, forging a bond that would withstand any obstacle that came their way. As the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Emily found herself filled with a renewed sense of hope and optimism for the future. With each passing day, she watched her daughter grow and thrive, her laughter filling their home with joy and light. And so, armed with determination and unwavering love, Emily embarked on this new chapter of their lives with a sense of optimism and possibility. For in the end, she knew that no matter what challenges lay ahead, they would face them together, as a family, bound by love and resilience. In the wake of the divorce, Emily found herself embracing the newfound freedom with a mix of trepidation and excitement. No longer bound by the constraints of a strained marriage, she began to rediscover herself, her hopes, dreams, and aspirations that had long been overshadowed by the demands of married life. With each passing day, Emily delved deeper into self-discovery, exploring hobbies and interests that had long been neglected. She enrolled in art classes, rediscovered her love for gardening, and even started writing again, pouring her heart into the pages of a journal that served as both a sanctuary and a confidant. As she immersed herself in these newfound pursuits, Emily found solace in the simple joys of everyday life. She reveled in the beauty of a blooming flower, the warmth of the sun on her skin, and the laughter of her daughter echoing through their home. It was in these moments of quiet reflection that Emily realized she was stronger and more resilient than she had ever imagined. But amidst the newfound freedom, there were moments of uncertainty and doubt. The echoes of the past lingered, casting shadows on the path ahead. Doubts crept in. Had she made the right decision? Would she ever find love again? And what would the future hold for her and her daughter? Yet, in the midst of these doubts, Emily found comfort in the unwavering love and support of her family and friends. They stood by her side, offering words of encouragement and reassurance when she needed it most. With their support, Emily began to embrace the uncertainty of the future, viewing it not as a daunting challenge, but as an opportunity for growth and self-discovery. And so, armed with courage and determination, Emily embarked on this new chapter of her life with a sense of optimism and resilience. She knew that the road ahead would be filled with challenges and obstacles, but she also knew that she had the strength and resilience to overcome them. As she looked towards the future, Emily felt a renewed sense of hope and possibility. She knew that no matter what the future held, she would face it with courage, grace, and unwavering love for her daughter. For in the end, she knew that love would always be the guiding light that would lead them through even the darkest of times. In the wake of the divorce, Emily's journey of self-discovery led her down unexpected paths, unveiling hidden talents and passions she never knew she possessed. As she immersed herself in her newfound interests, she found herself connecting with a community of like-minded individuals who shared her love for art, gardening, and writing. Through art classes and workshops, Emily discovered the therapeutic power of creativity, using paintbrushes and canvases as tools for self-expression and healing. Each stroke of color became a testament to her resilience, a reflection of her journey towards self-acceptance and inner peace. In her garden, Emily found solace in the quiet beauty of nature, cultivating vibrant blooms and lush greenery that filled her home with warmth and serenity. Tending to her garden became a ritual of renewal, a reminder that even in life's darkest moments, there is always the promise of new growth and possibility. And in the pages of her journal, Emily poured out her thoughts and emotions with raw honesty, documenting her triumphs and setbacks, her hopes and fears. Through writing, she found a sense of catharsis, a way to make sense of the complexities of her emotions and experiences. But amidst the joys of self-discovery, Emily grappled with moments of doubt and uncertainty. The wounds of the past still lingered, casting shadows on the path ahead. There were days when the weight of loneliness felt unbearable, when the fear of the unknown threatened to overwhelm her. Yet, in those moments of darkness, Emily found strength in the love and support of her daughter, who stood by her side with unwavering loyalty and devotion. Together, they navigated the highs and lows of life with courage and resilience, drawing strength from each other as they faced whatever challenges came their way. And as the days turned into weeks and the weeks into months, Emily found herself embracing the beauty of the present moment, savoring the simple joys of everyday life. She learned to cherish the moments of laughter and connection, the quiet moments of solitude, and the endless possibilities that each new day brought. For Emily, the journey of self-discovery was not just about finding herself, but about embracing the fullness of life in all its complexity and beauty. And as she looked towards the future, she did so with a sense of optimism and possibility, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, she would face them with courage, grace, and unwavering love for her daughter.